Good morning. Welcome to Member Focus Monday. We are going to get started here in just a minute. We're going to be talking about the National Flood Insurance Program today. So let's give everybody just about a minute to get signed on. Just letting you know we started. All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. So welcome.
Thank you.
We're here this morning with Ed Wolf. If you want to just kind of introduce yourself to everybody.
I'm Ed Wolf. I'm president of Beth Wolf Realtors. I've been a real estate agent since 1993 and a broker for, 12 years, 13 years. But I do work with about 45 associates and we work all over Houston.
Awesome. So Ed is actually the chair of our Governmental Affairs Advisory Group. So how did you become the chair of the advisory group?
I got involved very, very early. My mother was chair of the association in 1992. So
I actually saw her picture right
back there. She's back there watching us. But I think the governmental side of our industry really interested me, and laws affect everything that we do on a daily basis, and private property rights are very, very important to me. And that's one of our basis. The basis of the Houston Association of Realtors is protecting private property rights, but at the same time balancing the greater good of the community and walking that line to ensure that one person doesn't hurt another while still protecting their private property rights has been fascinating to me. So.
Absolutely. So what does the Governmental Affairs Advisory Group do? I know a lot of people don't realize there are advisory groups for pretty much every department here at HAR. They all have some sort of representation. So what do the Governmental Affairs Advisory Group, what do you guys do?
The Governmental Affairs Advisory Group deals with the issues related to our industry. So National Flood Insurance Program, like we're talking about today,
sure.
Zoning, or the lack thereof. The issues that relate to the laws that are on the books that affect real estate on a day-to-day basis are dealt with in the Governmental Affairs Advisory Group. There's also a Political Affairs Advisory Group that handles finding out the candidates and their issues and supporting them, or deciding whether or not the association will support them or won't support them in the upcoming election. And then once we decide who those candidates are, then there's the TREPAC Advisory Group, who helps get investments from our membership in our future. And those investments are really, really important. So TREPAC is the arm that actually makes the investment in the campaigns of the people we feel would best represent the issues that we believe are most important.
Okay, great. So when we see, come election time, we see recommended candidate lists and things that come out. That's the Political Affairs Advisory Group kind of behind that, right?
Correct, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So National Flood Insurance, I've been hearing a lot about NFIP, or National Flood Insurance Program, lately. Can you explain what that is? I mean, some people might just hear those words but not really know what that is.
Sure. When you buy homeowners insurance, you're purchasing a private insurance policy. It's an insurance policy issued by a corporation or an annuity group, or it might be a nonprofit, but it's not the government issuing that policy, and they make money off of the premiums, and then they pay out when there's a loss, and hopefully there's fewer losses than there are premiums paid, so that the insurance company in the end makes money. The National Flood Insurance Program was designed to support our homeowners on an issue that has not been a real moneymaker for the insurance industry. The National Flood Insurance Program is a government-supported insurance policy that, in the event of a flood, will pay the claim to a maximum of $250,000. And then for your contents, there are policies that go up to $200,000, $150,000, $100,000, or $50,000. So you get to choose on contents what your coverage level would be.
Okay.
If you were getting a mortgage and you live within the 100-year floodplain, you're going to be required to carry National Flood Insurance policy along with your hazard insurance policy.
Okay.
If you don't live in the 100-year floodplain, your mortgage company is not going to require you to carry that. The problem is that in Houston, anyone is susceptible to flooding.
Absolutely.
And if you don't live in the 100-year floodplain, you are, per Harvey, actually twice as likely to flood than you were during Harvey. Now that's not a real statistic, but 48,000 homes inside the 100 and the 500-year floodplain flooded during Harvey.
Yeah.
Over 90,000 homes outside of the 100 and 500-year floodplain flooded during Harvey.
Wow.
So I know that one of the statistics that's been thrown around is that almost 80% of the people that flooded did not have flood insurance. I think that number is a little high.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have good statistics on everybody because of privacy laws and all the, each individual is a separate entity, and unfortunately we won't know for a number of years what those real numbers are. But if you live in Houston, you must carry flood insurance. It's just in the Houston area it's possible for you to get 6 to 8 inches of rain in an hour. And if you can get 6 to 8 inches of rain in an hour, the drainage system we have is not designed to carry that level of water out to whatever drainage ditch it uses to get out to the Gulf.
Right.
So because of our rainfall amounts, anybody is susceptible to flooding, and everyone should get flood insurance.
So, I mean, obviously this should be important to everyone, every homeowner. This should kind of be on their radar, right? But why specifically realtors? Why should realtors care, I guess I should say, about NFIP?
We are responsible for our clients and their well-being, and the knowledge that we have is supposed to be at a higher level. As professionals in our industry, we should be letting people know what it is they need when they're purchasing a home. And if I've just said that everybody needs flood insurance and we're helping people buy homes, then we should be telling them that it's an inexpensive way to protect your future. I unfortunately live in the annual floodplain. I've flooded every year for the last 3 years. You would think as a realtor and governmental affairs advisory chair that I would know where to buy not to flood, right? Well, the truth is my mother's house flooded during Harvey. Right. And she thought she was safe. She's not in a floodplain. My house is in a floodplain. It flooded during Memorial Day, Tax Day, and Harvey. I've elevated my house 6 feet in the air. We have put my mother's house back together because it was only during Harvey, which was a significant event that we, have to believe hopefully won't happen again in our lifetimes. Right. There is no guarantee.
Yeah. Wow. So Tax Day, Memorial Day, and Harvey.
And
is
Harvey,
what you experienced.
Yeah. And after Harvey, we decided we had 3 feet of water, so we elevated our house 6 feet in the air.
Yes.
And it feels really, really good.
So hopefully everything was okay July 4th. A lot of people experienced flooding on July 4th. So obviously it doesn't take a hurricane, right, for people to experience devastation. But so the July 4th, you were okay though. Right?
July 4th, we were okay. From our understanding, there were very few, if any, structures that actually got water on July 4th. July 4th was a more typical rainstorm that, just with our history, we look back and we say, oh no, here we go again.
Right.
When in reality, July 4th was probably what was intended to happen. It rained 6 inches in an hour. The streets filled up, which is what they're supposed to do, but hopefully it didn't get into anybody's structures or houses.
Absolutely. So NFIP, it's set to expire, correct? So can you tell us about that?
The National Flood Insurance Program, issued or administered through FEMA, is due to expire at the end of this month, July 31st. Without some emergency action by Congress, it will mean that if you are purchasing a home that's within the 100-year floodplain, you will not be able to acquire flood insurance. If you are purchasing a home outside of the 100-year floodplain, you will not be able to purchase flood insurance, but you will still be able to move forward on the purchase of your house. The problem is you'll be at risk because you won't have flood insurance if you happen to, if we have an event and you flood.
Right.
The problems that will create are a screeching halt to the Houston market. And I think that's going to be an issue that we can't afford to live with. So it's really important. There's a call for action out by the National Association of Realtors, which is what we do on issues, asking our realtors to send letters to their representatives in Congress, letting them know how important it is to vote to extend the National Flood Insurance Program.
Yes.
At this point, there's a couple of bills out there that we're following that would extend the National Flood Insurance Program for a long period of time, and would also support it better.
Okay.
That may mean that flood insurance would cost a little bit more, but it would be a better funded, better supported system. So NAR is working with Congress to try and develop that. There is no way that's going to happen between now and July 31st. So right now, what we're asking for is an extension of the current program to ensure that we can continue to close houses and get flood insurance.
Okay. So I'll actually provide the link for everyone in the comments after we wrap up, but we can go ahead and tell you right now, if you go to realtorparty.realtor/renew NFIP, it takes a minute. I think that's even an exaggeration. It really doesn't even take a whole minute. And 3 clicks to complete the call to action that NAR has put out. Okay.
And even if you think you've done it, there were some glitches at the very beginning. And so it's really important to go back, try it again. It'll tell you that you've already responded to the call for action, or if you received in your email after doing the call for action letters from your senators and congressmen, then you probably did it correctly.
Okay. So if you didn't get an email back, then maybe go
do it again.
Yeah.
Can't hurt.
Absolutely. So we do have a question from Mary asked, would you be able to share those numbers again, flooded in a floodplain versus not in a floodplain, and the percent of flooded who didn't have flood insurance?
I certainly can. I can't tell you how accurate they are. The city of Houston has put out a large PDF that's on the City of Houston Planning website. Should be under Public Works, actually. The PDF has all of these statistics in it. But outside of the reservoir, so the reservoir flooding was different than the flooding during the rainfall. 48,000 homes inside the 100 and the 500-year floodplain flooded. Over 90,000 outside of the 100 and 500-year floodplains flooded. So these are City of Houston statistics. They're based on debris pickup. Some say that they're overestimating. Some say they're underestimating. We have other statistics that say over 213,000 homes in the greater Houston area flooded during Harvey, which is certainly a larger number than that.
And the percentage of flood victims that did not have insurance, we hear that was 80%, but as you said, that also might be a little higher than the real number.
I think statistics are not yet complete, and we need to wait another 6 months or so to see what they come up with statistically.
Great. Okay, let me just see if we have any other questions. So Cindy asked, can we repeat the site again? I'll also put it in the comments, Cindy, but it's just realtorparty.realtor/renew NFIP, National Flood Insurance Program.
I think it's important also for people to recognize that the floodplains are going to change. They're working on the maps right now. It used to be that 13.5 inches in a 12-hour period was what our system was designed for, and what was considered a 100-year or a 1% floodplain. Those changes have been made. NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, puts out rainfall predictors. And right now, the rainfall predictor is 14.8 inches. So that went from 13.5 to 14.8 in a 12-hour period is what they're saying now a 100-year storm would be, which means that you would have to be elevated higher to be outside of that 100-year floodplain. So even though you weren't in the 100-year floodplain yesterday, a year, 2 years from now when they finalize these maps, you may be. But if you buy flood insurance now, hopefully your rate will be lower, and when you renew, you'll be grandfathered in.
Okay, very good. Okay, just a couple other people asking for the website, and I see someone added that in there too. I'll add it and make sure it's at the top as well. So it doesn't look like we have any other questions or anything else you want to add or share with us?
I think that as realtors, getting involved in our organization is important. It takes a lot of people. I'm chair of a governmental affairs advisory group that has 30 members, but we have 37,000
Yes.
members of the Houston Association of Realtors. 30 people is not a lot. And it's important that you get involved. So if you're out there, if you haven't gotten involved before, there's going to be an opportunity to sign up for next year's advisory groups coming in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
Watch for that, get involved, sign up for what you are passionate about, whether it's the MLS advisory group or the governmental affairs advisory group or political affairs or
Mm-hmm.
TREPAC. Please invest in TREPAC. That is one of the most important things we do as professional realtors is we invest in our industry.
Absolutely.
And TREPAC is the way to do that.
And TREPAC, if you don't know, stands for the Texas Real Estate Political Action Committee. We represent the Realtor Party.
That is absolutely correct. And we're not Democrat, we're not Republican, we're not Libertarian, we're not Green Party. We are the Realtor Party.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Nancy asked if you could just repeat the new level requirements when the floodplain is revised.
So we don't know what the elevation requirement's going to be, but the new rainfall limits are available at the NOAA website, NOAA website. Those rainfall amounts, we believe, are 14.8. They could change again, but as of right now, that's what they're basing the new 100-year floodplain on, is 14.8 inches of rain in a 12-hour period.
Okay. Very good. All right. Well, it looks like that's it. Thank you guys for joining. I should mention that once this video ends, if you stay till the very end, you'll see a button where you can subscribe to our live videos. Sometimes we get questions, when are you starting the live session? That actually is going to notify you when we start. So click that little subscribe to our live video button so you get notified when we do this every Monday. And that way you just see it pop up. Actually, I saw one more question pop up, so let's go ahead and tackle that. For houses currently under contract but not closing until after the July 31st deadline, can they purchase flood insurance?
They can purchase flood insurance right now, and before the property closes, get that secured.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would go ahead and make those phone calls prior to closing and make sure that you have the flood insurance secured. Once it's secured, then it will be in place.
Okay, great. Thank you. That was a great question, Michael.
There was one other question. I think, will the flood maps be redone due to the recent floods?
Mm-hmm.
They are in the process of being redone in the next 2 to 3 years. No question.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you so much, Ed, for joining us. And thank you all for watching. We'll see you back next Monday. Thanks.
Great.